So in this first vlog, I just want to talk about some of the new changes in WWE and, just stuff around that area. First, I'd like to talk about the character of Mr. Kennedy. WWE has really changed him within the last month and a half. He's gone from a very prominent heel to a very prominent face. And I think this, actually, I'm fairly certain this started about the time William Regal started becoming a very big and upcoming heel in WWE. Mr. Kennedy, I think he had originally been gone to, he was out for, I think, a month or so. He had been gone to film a bit part he had in, I think, Behind Enemy Lines 3 or something like that. So he was basically gone for that time, a month, I think, or so it was. And so when they brought him back, I guess, they decided, well, he's been heel long enough, let's turn him face. And honestly, I could not be more happy because Mr. Kennedy is probably up there with one of my more favorite wrestlers. He's just, I don't know, I like the gimmick he has. Even when he was heel, I still found myself cheering for him. Unless, of course, he was going against, people like Shawn Michaels or John Cena. Yes, I'm a John Cena fan, and I realize that he has absolutely no wrestling ability, but he's very good on the mic. So, anyways, back to Mr. Kennedy. So they brought him on as a face, and he feuded with, William Regal, and now William Regal is suspended from WWE for 60 days for violating their wellness program. So I think that was kind of cool, though, how they, took Mr. Kennedy and put him in an angle with Regal, and ultimately beat Regal in a You're Fired match. I thought that was pretty cool, and, the fans seemed to really like that, as myself did. Not that I think the William Regal gimmick was getting old. I thought it was actually probably up there with Randy Orton. So, yeah, I'll get to Randy Orton in a second, by the way. But getting back to Mr. Kennedy, I like him as a face. I mean, he still has the same kind of cockiness, but now he appeals to the crowd because he's not talking down to them as much, and he's going against some of, our more favorite heels, like, he went against William Regal. I suspect that, now he's going against Paul Burchill as of, a few Raws ago. I know the Raw that just aired last Monday, which would be the, 9th, so yesterday. They had him going against Paul Burchill, in which he won, but then, of course, Burchill, being the heel that he is, attacked Kennedy after the match. So I like that angle with Kennedy. I hope they keep that for a while, and maybe even, down the line, put him into contention for some sort of, championship belt or something, because I think he could really go far. Fans seem to like him. I like him. So that's pretty much with Mr. Kennedy. Moving right along to Randy Orton, who is currently out with a broken collarbone, I believe it is, at WWE's No Way Out. He, of course, in the match with Triple H, got injured when Triple H sidestepped him and Randy Orton flew over the ropes, breaking his collarbone. So he'll probably be out for the next few months, which is pretty unfortunate for WWE, especially for the Raw section, because they are running out of heels. I mean, it seems like the roster now is dominated by faces, and even those that they're trying to build into heels, like Chris Jericho, many of the fans still cheer for him. I mean, you really only have your heels now. I mean, you have JBL, which is an excellent heel. I mean, they better keep him on. You sort of have Umaga, but he's kind of faded out into nothingness since, he obviously hasn't won any pay-per-views, so he's not really a big figure. And then you have, I guess, Paul Burchill, but I really could care less about him. So, Randy Orton was definitely a big heel, and WWE is really at a loss now that they have lost him to that broken bone. So, in the upcoming draft, I think they're really going to have to work to kind of take more heels from SmackDown and ECW and put them on Raw. I almost want Edge to just come from SmackDown and go back on Raw, because, now that he's taken out The Undertaker, and The Undertaker is banned from, WWE, which, we know isn't going to be for a few months. Maybe Undertaker had some sort of disagreement or something with WWE, but he's not going to be out for more than a few months, because he's a very big figure in the WWE, and they're not going to waste, just throw him out like that. So, but I think they should take Edge back to Raw. I mean, he had very good feud with Cena. I think that was one of the times where actually, Cena gets booed a lot because obviously his wrestling ability is very limited, and people realize that. But him and Edge had a really good feud, I think, and they traded back and forth quite a bit until Cena, of course, won the WWE belt from Edge and kept it for a year, which I myself, even being a Cena fan, felt pretty annoying. So I think they need to take Edge maybe. I'm really getting sick of the whole Batista and Edge angle. I think Batista, I really don't see him. He's not very entertaining for me. But Edge is really good as a heel. So I think you bring him on Raw, you start something back up with maybe Cena or Triple H or even, I don't know, someone else. So I think they need to do that. And apparently, and mostly you can see I'm just talking about Raw. That's pretty much the only brand I really follow religiously. The other brands I kind of turn them on, for the Big Show, who by the way will win back the ECW championship. I mean, it's just gonna happen. I really don't think they'll have Kane retain it for that much longer, even though he hasn't been the champion for that long. I think the Big Show deserves it, and he's also one of my favorite wrestlers. What else is there? As far as the match between Triple H now and John Cena at the Night of Champions, whatever that pay-per-view is called, where basically every belt is up for grabs. I think that you're gonna see Triple H retain it maybe, and I want him to, because right now I don't think John Cena, his popularity has definitely faded since he got his injury. When he had his injury, people were getting tired of him having his belt, so I guess that what I just said really doesn't make any sense. But I want Triple H to retain the belt, basically. I think John Cena somewhere, maybe during SummerSlam or something, come back, and he'll eventually become WWE champion again. That's inevitable. It's just the way it's gonna go, and that's fine with me. I think Cena is definitely a better face than a heel. I know some fans out there, a lot of fans actually, want Cena to just become a heel, but I think that would ultimately hurt him because, I know he was a heel when he was in Ohio Valley Wrestling, and I guess as the prototype he did okay. I thought that gimmick was really dumb myself. He just looked really bad. So I think definitely keeping Cena as a face is a must, because even if you hate him, you gotta agree he has good mic skills. He one way or another, he'll get you revved up, whether it's hating him, saying you suck, or, whether you like him. But I think right now, Triple H needs to remain the WWE champion. I think that's a must, because I think if Cena just gets it back, it's going to be the same thing where the fans are tired of seeing Cena. I myself would like to see Cena put in some kind of tag team matchup. I think the best part for me in the recent years of WWE Raw is when him and Shawn Michaels were doubles partners. I thought that was awesome. Every time they came on, I was just glued right to the TV. And then their feud against RKO with Edge and Randy Orton, I thought that was awesome. That was, for me, a very good moment in WWE. And now that Shawn Michaels is feuding with Chris Jericho, which I really think is overdone because it was him, Batista, and Chris Jericho. I think Cena and Shawn Michaels should get back together. Some people say, it's not the same as DX, and of course it isn't. DX is one in a million. You're not going to get another tag team like DX. They're great. But I think Cena getting in some kind of tag team action would be awesome. But of course, they're going to push him for, the WWE Championship. And speaking of pushing, I want to briefly now go back to the Big Show. WWE has really started to, ever since he turned face, which was after, of course, the Mayweather thing, I think WWE realized that people didn't like Mayweather, and I thought that match was pretty stupid myself. You knew it was going to happen. Mayweather was going to win. They weren't going to let Big Show, boss him around or anything. So, but I think that they're really pushing Big Show, and I think that's a good thing, because, Big Show's a face, he might be better as a heel just because he's bigger, but I think as a face, because now you really give him the opportunity to go against more heels. Like, when Umaga is probably going to be traded over to SmackDown, goes to SmackDown, you can have Big Show and Umaga feud. You've had Umaga and Great Khali feud. So those are a lot of the things he's able to do now. And just briefly also pushing, like I said, Mr. Kennedy, he's been pushed a lot since he became a face. I mean, I think he's been undefeated for a few weeks now. He just kept winning match after match, which is fine with me because Mr. Kennedy is, awesome. So that's cool. And I think, that's about it. I really have nothing else to say. I've taken up quite an amount of time. So I guess I'll be back with some other thoughts when I think of them. See ya.